Hello everyone, welcome to another show of Business Secrets Revealed. Today with me I have Dan Gentry, who is the CEO of Third Power Performance. Dan, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
Could you tell me more about Third Power Performance, please?
Absolutely. It's something that I've been doing for a long time, and I finally actually turned it into a business. But it's really about helping the business person, but also general professionals in general, especially those with families, how to have what I call life to the third power. That's the Third Power Performance. Is have an amazing life, not just a good life, but have all of the financial success that we want, but also actually have a life.
Right.
So many people are just they're working to make that life, but they never actually get to live it.
Right.
So I'm giving people the tools to be able to do both.
Work-life balance.
Absolutely.
That's really
Absolutely.
cool. What types of businesses do you usually work with?
I always say, kind of that ideal person for me is that successful professional with a family. So I've done a lot with CPAs. I do a lot with CEP, attorneys,
So
doctors, basically all industries. Essentially, those people that are working at that professional level, that higher level, and usually are a little bit more stressed.
Yes, exactly.
Which is part of it. A lot of times people will come to me either when they're enlightened or frightened, is what it really boils down to. Somebody that knows that there's something not quite right here. I feel like something's missing in life, or I just have a health scare. That happened to me before.
I had one of those a few months ago.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I remember one time before I started this, I was just working at my computer, sitting down, and all of a sudden, it went tunnel vision. It went black except for a little circle, and then I'm like, am I having a stroke? Am I dying? And what's going on? And went to my doctor, and I said, it's just stress.
Right.
It's just stress, and it's a huge issue these days.
Do you see that both men and women are equally stressed, or is there one that is more stressed?
I would say it's actually equal, but they're different. Obviously, men and women are different. Usually, I find that the women are a little more aware of it. I think that there's probably equal amounts there, but as men, we're taught to be stoic, and I don't show any weakness at all, right? And women tend to be a little bit more in tune with what's actually going on in their lives. However, that being said, I think the men need the what I do more.
Because they have more heart attacks?
They do.
Is that terrible to say?
They do have more heart attacks, and it's part of it is because we internalize our stress and we hold on to it.
Right.
Where and again, this is a huge generalization, which is not always the way things work. But women are usually more apt to be emotional and let some of that energy out, where men hold it in until it blows up. Which, been there, done that, right?
So when you are working with clients, and I'm not trying to steal your secrets, but whatever you're willing to reveal, what are the first steps that they kind of have to do to declutter their lives, I guess, and to really figure out how to achieve that work-life balance?
Right. It was funny. I actually did a Facebook Live, a walk and talk this morning. I sort of talking about that after our discussion yesterday.
Yes.
And it was sustainable hustle was the concept.
Right.
For that, and it really, it's all about finding your purpose. So many times we've got so many demands on us from social media and work and family and all of that we're trying to do everything.
Right.
And the reality of it is we can only do one thing well, at least at a time, right? And it's it's not so much about time management, it's about purpose management. And it's about finding what is it that I really want out of my life. And to most people don't take the time to figure out, what do I really want? I mean, we do our goal setting. We're coming up to New Year's, and it's time for the New Year's resolutions. And we have, I want to make $100,000, and I want a new car, and I want. we have these superficial level goals,
Right.
but it's not really what's the purpose behind it. So when somebody says, I want to make $1 million, I'm like, why?
Right.
Why do you want that? Okay, well, why do you want that? And why do you want? And you know, that's the 5 whys philosophy, if you've ever heard of it. But it's get down to what are you really after?
Yeah.
And most people don't take the time to figure that out. So the first thing that I do with my clients, as you were saying, is I have a process that I go through to help find your purpose in life. And and it's not like, okay, you've chosen it, you're done. It's not locked in.
Right.
But it helps people really figure out, why am I doing this? I mean, you take me for example. My purpose, my mission in what I'm doing with my business is the song "Cats in the Cradle." If I know you hadn't heard of it before, but if you haven't heard it, go out and take a listen. But really about the father that has a child and is never there for the child as he's growing up. And then once he becomes of age, now he wants to spend time with his son. His son has grown up just like him and doesn't have time. And my mission is to make that song just a song and not a story about anybody. Because I've been on both sides of that. I've been the little boy wishing my dad was there. And then I've also been the dad I was working so hard that I was never there for my kids. In the pursuit of giving them a good life, I wasn't giving them a good life.
Right.
So
would you say that the people that are probably experiencing the highest levels of stress are just in the wrong positions for them?
No, not necessarily. Because I had somebody ask me one time, you're going into these companies and talking about life balance. Are you just going to tell them to stop working so much? And, is management going to be upset with you?
Right.
And I'm like, it's not about, working less. It's not about trying not to be more. It's about being very purposeful in what you're doing. There may be some things that you should stop doing,
Right.
but most of the time, those are things that are urgent but not important.
Right.
And they're not important for the business either. There's so many times where we'll spend, hours and hours of time on things that really don't matter. It's the whole Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule,
Yes.
that 80% of your results come from 20% of your activities. And so it's really about, the question I ask myself every morning when I get up, I do my journal and kind of meditation is, what is the one thing today
Right.
that I need to do that will make the biggest impact, will make my life simpler and make everything else that I need to do either easier or not necessary?
Yeah. One thing I love saying is every yes you say is a no to something else, right?
Correct.
When you're saying yes to a dinner meeting, you're saying no to dinner with your family.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. One of the other big things that I also talk about, I wrote a book on it, I call it time concentration, but it's being very purposeful where you spend your time. The example that I always use is we all need to exercise, right? Well, the exercise that I chose was karate, and I did it for very on purpose because it's exercise for my body, it's exercise for my mind. You're having to memorize things. For me, there's a spiritual aspect to it, the concentration and all of that.
Right.
I do it with my boys. My both of my boys. We just got our black belts, the midnight blue belt for Tung Sudo.
That's so cool.
But my 10-year-old just got his last month.
Yeah.
But we do it together. So it's taking in family. I've made friends there.
Right.
They do things to help the community. It's gotten me business from being there. So that one activity of karate touched 7 to 8 areas of life balance. And for me, there are 9 areas of life balance that I talk about in my program.
Do you want to share them?
Well, yeah, the life balance triad, all of my stuff is based around 3s. It's the high level, it's self-mastery, mastery of yourself.
Right.
It's your relationships, and it's your, I call it the material prosperity, your money. And each of those break down into their threes. The foundation of self-mastery is our spiritual foundation, who we really are at our core. Then our minds, so the mental aspect, and then the physical is the manifestation of self-mastery, is our physical bodies.
Yes.
For relationships, the foundation is family, then we our friends, and then others. It's like philanthropy. How are we making a difference in the world?
Right.
And then for the material prosperity, the foundation is our it's finances. It's our economic education. What's our financial report card look like, right?
Right.
When we were in school, we got report cards every 4.5 weeks. Progress report every 9 weeks was a grade. And a couple of times a year you had a big grade. When we get to be adults, we don't have report cards anymore. Well, here's the deal. For the better or worse, we do. Your report card as an adult is your financial statement. Right? And most people never look at their personal financial statement. So look at for the business all the time, but what about finances, right? You don't want to get to be 60, 70 years old and go, I should probably look at my report card. Oh dear, I have an F in investing, right? It's too late.
A sad face.
Exactly. But so financial education is the foundation, and then it's your income and your expenses. So how you bring money in and how you spend your money.
Right.
And actually, interestingly, the spending money, our stuff, is actually one of the biggest causes of life being out of balance, and we don't really think about it. I always say that everything that you own also owns you.
Makes sense.
Your car, you've got to maintain it, you got to spend money paying for it, you've got to buy insurance for it, you have to clean it, you have to maintain it. It's all of this energy, and at night, you hear the hailstorm. It's like, oh, my car is outside. It's all of this energy is going into that thing, and every possession that you have has that little connection to you of energy that you're having to expend on it. Now, I love my stuff. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying just get rid of everything and just zen out. No, but be aware that the stuff that when the more stuff you accumulate, the more energy is leaving your life to go into that.
Makes sense. Okay. What would you say is one of the hardest lessons that you have learned as an entrepreneur? Aside from needing to keep a work-life balance.
Not to have to do it all myself.
Yeah.
That has been, this whole perfection thing of I want to do it myself because I want to make sure it's done right, right? Trusting other people to allow them to help you.
Right.
And again, that's where that purpose and that vision comes in so important, because you need to be able to share that vision of here's where I'm going, here's what I'm trying to do.
Right.
And that allows people to help you achieve that, because they're now moving in the same direction. You look at companies like Disney, like Apple, where it's their purpose and the culture, if you will, is very clear, and everybody's marching in that same direction.
Exactly.
Right. And so in the entrepreneurial world, it's a little bit more challenging, because we're usually small, solopreneurs, or trying
at least at first.
Right. And then how do I bring in somebody else? And it's learning to let go. That's been the biggest challenge for me, is allowing somebody else to mess with my baby.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually learning that lesson myself now, and what I found is that the more that I delegate, the more I am impressed and surprised, because I used to be one of those people that I need to do it myself, or it'll be faster if I do it myself, but it's really not, because if you're doing every single little thing, then you don't really have the time or the energy to focus on the larger scale.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it comes down to that one thing that I talked about, and that focus. If you're trying to do everything in your business, you're going to be stressed out of your mind.
Right. And you're probably not going to get much accomplished.
Right.
Okay. Well, what is the name of your book, and where can people find it?
I have two 99 Steps Towards Life Balance and Time Concentration. They are both on Amazon. You can also go to my website, thirdpowerperformance.com.
Okay.
And there's a link there.
Perfect. Anything else that you would like to share with the audience?
Don't wait.
Yeah.
That's the biggest kind of challenge, if you will, is that I have a quote on my wall. I have a lot of quotes on my wall, but there's only one quote that's actually by me. I don't know. It feels weird, narcissistic to have a whole bunch of quotes by you up on the wall, but
Well, it's your mantra.
yeah. But there's one that I said that I kept waiting for that event to happen that would jolt me into action.
Right.
And then I realized you don't always survive those events.
Yeah.
We have the health issue, we have the whatever. And it's like, oh, how many people do you hear? I had a heart attack and I realized I had to change my diet.
Right.
Not everybody survives a heart attack.
Yeah.
And you can't get the time back. I will leave with this because I know we're on time, but
We're fine.
When juggling life balance, I've got, like I said, I've got the 3 areas of life balance, right? There's your health, wealth, and relationships. Keep it simple. You've got these 3 balls that you're juggling all the time, right? I always say that your wealth, your money, your income, your job, that is like a rubber ball, okay? If you drop it, it's going to bounce.
Right.
It's not great because you dropped it, but at the same time, you can pick it up and no harm done, really. Your relationships and your self-care, those are glass.
Yeah.
If you drop those, they're going to break. And you don't want to do that. So those are the most important things. They have the old adage, nobody on their deathbed ever said, I wish I'd spent more time at the office, right? You can't get that time back. You can make more money, you can, rebuild a business, you can, redo an event, redo an interview, if it's messed up.
Yeah.
Time with right before I came here, I was having lunch with my 10-year-old at Saddlewood Elementary right over here. And he had asked me if I'd please come have lunch with him. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah. There's not many more years where he's going to want me to come have lunch with him. My 13-year-old at middle school, if I showed up to have lunch with him, it would not be a pleasant, no, right? But so you can't get that time back.
Right.
And that's what I love about the message of Cats in the Cradle is you have to do it now. Take the time for the things that are really, really important. Take the time to find out what is important for you.
Right.
Because, there are times when, I'm now 51, I wish I could go back to being a 20-something and say, stop, right?
I think that's everyone.
Well, yeah. And I don't regret my life because it's brought me to where I am, but at the same time, I don't want my children, I don't want the people that I talk to go through the difficulties that I had to go through to learn these lessons.
Yes.
We always hear about using other people's time and other people's money and all of that. We use other people's experience.
Exactly.
That's why I'm here. That's why I love talking about this. I don't know if you can tell, like I'm a little bit into it, but it's just time is something we can't get back, and we all have a finite amount.
Yeah.
And where do we focus it? What do we do with it?
And your purpose is to help people figure that out.
Yes.
That's perfect. Well, thank you very much, Dan. I really enjoyed
Absolutely.
having you here. And Dan is actually going to be a speaker at our Success Mindset event, which will be held on December 7th at the Comfort Inn and Suites in Ocala. So if you guys are free and would like to hear him speak more about this, please do join us. He will be one of many great speakers, so we would love to see you there. Dan, thank you very much for coming out.
Absolutely.
Pleasure speaking with you as always.
Likewise.
Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. We'll see you soon.
All right.